The sound you hear is what some experts claim to be a Bigfoot scream. Recorded in the state of Washington by a group of campers in 1971, it is regarded as the highest quality audio of the creature ever captured.
Hello, welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. We're glad to have you stop by. We'd also like to take this time to invite you to share your encounter. You can send your stories to the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, where we will feature your story with all of the respect that it deserves. So send your stories in, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and your great stories soon. Hello, welcome everybody to Bigfoot Real Encounters. This is your host, Chris. It's September. We're heading toward fall and the hunting season, but we still have some very nice weather left ahead of us. Time still left for us to take some nice hikes, nice weather ahead of us, picnics, cookouts, canoeing trips, whatever, and time to have some encounters. And if you do, send them in to Bigfoot Real Encounters. Just type up the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, and this is a safe place to share your encounters. You can get the encounter off your chest. Maybe you've held on to one for decades and decades and didn't want to be ridiculed. And it's time now, because we're not going to ridicule you. It's one of the best times in history to ever bring forth your encounters. People are listening. We got the television shows that people are watching. We have YouTube channels where people are putting forth and bringing to light their encounters and what they have learned. Some good, most not so good, but nonetheless, they're coming forward with their encounters. So bring your encounters out. We want to learn, because the fact is, these creatures live alongside of us and have all this time. We have been going state by state, and when the occasion arises for a viewer-submitted encounter, we put that on also, no matter what state it comes from. So today, we're going to take a look at the state of Minnesota. Here's one from 1997, in the month of November, St. Louis County, Minnesota. This one reads, I was deer hunting about 5 miles from Floodwood, Minnesota on County Road 8, about a half mile after the blacktop ends, just past the power lines and before the gravel pit. I have hunted this state land for about 10 years with several friends and family over that time, and knew everything about this area. On this Tuesday afternoon, it was a very calm day, almost no wind at all. You could hear every noise in the woods that day. There was not a deer in sight. I was going to wait till 5 or so and make my way out of the woods. I had to walk through a couple thick cedar swamps on my way back to my car. At about 5:45, a branch snapped, then another. These were not small branches breaking, and I could tell whatever it was coming my way. I got my .308 ready to see what was coming towards me. I had been putting some bait out, so I thought it might be a bear by how clumsily it was coming through the swamp. I then saw movement off to my left. I got my gun up, and I tried to get the animal into my scope to identify what it was. The color was dark brown like a moose, and as I tried to get a good look at it through my scope, It stopped about 30 yards away and silence. I looked around my scope at it, and I could not identify what it was. It was like a gorilla on two legs, very thick and long hair. It must have saw me look around my scope. It was only there for a couple of seconds, and it let out a super loud howl. A howl like I've never heard anything make before. At that point, it turned and went back the way it came very rapidly, covering ground through thick swamp, breaking branches as it went. I would estimate it went 100 yards in 10 seconds, and then it stopped and howled once again very loud, and it started moving again. I could tell it was going away from me to the southwest rapidly. My heart was pounding through my chest. I climbed out of my stand and ran to my car about a mile away through that cedar swamp with my safety off and too scared to look back. I got to my car, jumped in, and tried to explain in my head what just happened. Until that day, I was an avid hunter of everything and never thought there was a thing like this out there. And now, seeing and hearing whatever that was, I quit hunting. Have not been in the woods much since, and never near there at dark. Well, now that's actually sad to hear. And I've watched howtohunt.com with Steve Isdall, and he gets sad when people lose their enjoyment of their outdoor activities such as hunting, fishing, camping, and all that type of thing because of their encounters with these creatures. It's actually a sad type of thing. If this is your encounter that you submitted to the BFRO and you happen to have been stumbled upon my channel and are hearing this, I wish to hear from you. Email me, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Perhaps there's additional details that you would like to add to it. Or maybe you would even like to, come on the channel. I'm learning how to do this through Zoom. So, you can add some, maybe you've had additional encounters, maybe you've had other thoughts where you've had previous encounters, and now you realize that those were encounters. Anything. I would like to hear from you. And certainly would like to encourage you to, start going back out there. Because this creature, once it realized you were in the area, went the other way. Okay? It's something for you to think about and consider. Anyways, let's take a time out here to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon so that you can be notified when other videos are published on this website. Also, check out the links in the description below. There are links to some cool Bigfoot t-shirts, coffee mugs, that type of thing, trail cams if you're interested in some of those, as well as Jeffrey Lilly's books, Blessed and Cursed. Some of the stories that changed Jeffrey's life as far as having encounters with these beings, as well as Bigfoot and Stellar J's River Day, a Bigfoot book for children. Good books. I recommend that you get them. Also, check out the private Facebook group Bigfoot Anonymous, set up exclusively and particularly for those who have had encounters wishing to interact with other folks who've had encounters. For whatever reasons, share stories, share details, learn about it, maybe come up with solutions if you're having difficulties, maybe difficulties with ongoing encounters. So check it out. It's Bigfoot Anonymous. It's on Facebook. You have to join to read what's going on, but go ahead and check it out. So let's see what else other stories we have here. And we have another one here from 2012 in September in St. Louis County, Minnesota. It's a rather short description here. but it looks like most of the ones I'm finding in Minnesota are rather short descriptions. I guess the Minnesota folks are rather succinct and instead of being long-winded, which can be a good thing. This one says here, I saw a large figure walking through the tree line, about 7 to 7.5 feet tall. I was about 22 yards away. It was a reddish-brown color. I saw from mid-shoulder to the top of its head. The color was a reddish-brown, but a bit darker on its head. The hair was also shorter on the head than the shoulders, like a short-haired dog. The shoulders were like a wiry hair dog's, kind of scraggy. Flatter face. The head was really long, almost like a cone or peak at the top. I was frozen when I saw this creature. I couldn't move for like 4 seconds. After that, I turned to my friend to see if he also saw it. When I looked back, the creature was gone. Sadly, he did not see it, but he heard something moving through the woods. There was also a very musky smell during that time. It's rather interesting. Many times there have been people side by side. One person sees something and the other person does not. Just something strange that I've noticed as I've heard other stories and other channels, as well as reading some on my own here. But they both heard something, and then there was the smell. Typical Sasquatch encounter here, folks. Let's see if we can find another one. And here we have one from 2014 in St. Louis County, Minnesota. This county has a lot of encounters. This one reads, when hunting south of Bull, about a half mile from the cemetery, in the wildlife refuge, I made my way to a large swamp. Seeing nothing, I headed back and jumped onto old railroad tracks. I heard something howling in a spruce swamp to the west of me. Every time I stopped, it would get quiet. I started walking again and heading north when I noticed something on the road ahead of me about half a mile or so. It was black, and at the distance I couldn't make out what it was. The closer I got, I assumed it was a bear. But then it stood up and very quickly ran into the ditch and stood in the brush and looked at me. I couldn't believe what I had just saw. Long arms, long legs, dark black, about 7 to 8 feet tall. It was big and fast. I looked at it, and I got the impression it was nervous the way it was acting. Being a mile from my truck and having two of them to the front and back of me, and the nervousness I was feeling, I decided it was best to head off. It was a long walk out. Well, I guess it would be a long walk out. I got one in front and one in back of you. My goodness. As I like to mention with these encounters, many of them seem almost identical and very similar, but there are always different details in some of them which add to the entire picture of what these creatures and beings are like. Their personalities, their traits, and how they behave, and so on and so forth. I've mentioned this in other videos. This one here, the person that encountered them picked up on nervousness coming from the creature. Now that is really something, because they're so large and so powerful, yet when around us they get nervous. That is just something that I find odd. These beings, which outclass us in nearly every manner, are nervous of us. What does that say about us? All right, let's see if we can find another one here, folks. And it looks like we have an older one here from 1973 in St. Louis County, Minnesota. And this one reads, my friend and I traveled on an old logging trail about 2 miles in my pickup in a heavily forested area about 20 miles northeast of Duluth, Minnesota, close to the mouth of the Big Sucker River. I had to stop the truck as we approached a very old bridge that had been washed out years before. We were deep into the woods at this point. The nearest house was probably 4 miles away, close to Highway 61. I had never been this far on this trail by truck. However, I had hunted grouse in this area on foot before, sometimes walking for hours. We got out of the truck and walked over to the small broken down bridge and looked around. No way to get across, so we started talking and etc. All of a sudden, we heard a series of screams and howls in the area across the bridge from us. It was getting closer and louder. Being a woodsman, I checked the wind and observed that the wind was blowing our scent toward the screaming and howling entity. We could hear crashing and breaking of large branches together with the terrible screams, and decided that it had zeroed in on us and that we had better get the heck out of there, fast. The hairs on my arms stood up and my adrenaline kicked in. Both of us ran to the truck and locked the doors. I rolled down my window on the driver's side as I was turning the truck around, and I could still hear the thing coming closer. I could not see too far into the thick brush, but I knew that it was close. We finally got the truck turned around on the narrow one-lane road and fled. My friend was so afraid that she did not want to ever talk about it again. I'm a native of northern Minnesota, and I have hunted, fished, and hiked many areas up there, and I've never heard anything like that before. I was also trained as a big game guide in Montana, and no animal fits this description that I know of. I now live in Auburn, Washington, and still do some exploring up in the mountains near Greenwater. I am armed when I venture up into the hills now, not only with a pistol, but with my camera. Another thing that I might mention is that I recently heard a recording of Bigfoot on the radio one night that made me get goosebumps all over again. That recording brought back the memories of my experience, as it was exactly what I heard so long ago in northern Minnesota. And here we have an encounter without a sighting, which I'm going to start including because many folks out there have had encounters, and just because they didn't see one, they're not sure if it was one. Okay, folks? Yes, you can have a Bigfoot encounter without actually seeing the thing. And so we're going to be including these also. Minnesota is known for many, many lakes and a lot of wilderness area, and I was not able to find a lot of reported Bigfoot encounters through the sources that I have. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Minnesota folks don't like to come forward with things so very much. Perhaps it's the available websites that they weren't too interested in. But let me just put this out there. If you're from Minnesota and you're sitting on a story that happened to you regarding a Bigfoot creature, consider sending it in to bfrealencounters@mail.com. Share your information with others. I mean, we're going to believe you here. We're not going to make fun of you. And we'll report and narrate your story word for word other than the cuss words. And we'll get the information and the details out to folks so that when they encounter these creatures, these beings, they'll have some type of preparation, something to go on so that it does not impact them in such a huge negative fashion, in which it does happen to many folks. So, Minnesota, send in your stories. bfrealencounters@mail.com. Also, folks, anybody else send in your stories to that email address, as well as check out the links in the description below. consider joining Bigfoot Anonymous, which is a Facebook private group. Like, share, subscribe, leave some comments below. I know you hear that from all YouTubers, but it actually helps with promotion of the channel. See, YouTube is set on automatic. They put these algorithms into place and set the thing to go on automatic. There's not people that listen to all of these videos. It couldn't possibly be done that way. So the automated systems check for different things that they have us set for, and likes and comments are some of those things that they check for. And those things that have interactions and activity and positivity get promoted. Those are the ones that start getting to be recommended in the next up section, as well as being listed in when things are searched for. Okay, so that's why we ask that you hit the like button and give it the thumbs up type of thing. So when people search for the subject and topic of, in this case, Bigfoot, then my channel actually shows up as a recommendation. Because I've gone with a incognito search and done that, and my channel has not shown up. And I have scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, and it wasn't there. It has to come to the point where YouTube's automated systems recognize it as having enough interest to where they will start putting it as a result in the search engines. I know I took a long time on that, but that's why we ask. That's why we're constantly asking it. And it seems like a pain in the neck to hear people say that. But I notice when I watch videos, I watch it, I like it, and then at the very end they say hit the like button, and I think to myself, oh yeah, I better hit the like button, because it slips my mind. So, knowing this, I encourage you to hit the like button. I encourage you to hit the share button to send this to other folks whom you know might find it interesting. Okay? Please do those things. Anyways, we have some nice weather left with the outdoor activities coming up for all of us. And as we're outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, canoeing, family picnicking, remember, keep an eye on the tree line to see what's keeping an eye on you. See you in the next one. Once again, another great story. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your encounter. Email us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story is very important. We will treat it with the respect that it deserves. Also, be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Thanks once again. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Watch out for our next video. Maybe we'll feature yours. Have a great day.